Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're putting on our neurobiologist lab coats to decode a biological puzzle that, let's be honest, frustrates millions of us. We're going to pop the hood and reveal the hidden neurological mechanics of reshaping your body. And the absolute best part? We're going to do this without the extreme suffering, starvation diets, or logging endless, miserable hours at the gym. Let's get right into it. I mean, really think about that for a second. We've all been sold this massive myth that getting lean means hammering away on a treadmill like you're training for the zombie apocalypse, right? But what if that whole approach is actually working against your own biology? The real driver of fat loss isn't about exhausting yourself. It's actually about neurological activation. It's all about how your brain talks to your body. Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll hit the neuroscience of fat. Second, mobilization and oxidation explained. Third, we'll cover adrenaline and the nervous system. Fourth, why subtle movement wins. And finally, your daily neurological schedule. Starting off with Section 1, the neuroscience of fat. Let's look at the cellular biology. Neurobiologist Andrew Huberman points out something that is genuinely paradigm shifting. He says your body fat is actually innervated by neurons. Take a second to process what that actually means. Your fat cells aren't just these dead, inert storage lockers holding on to extra calories. No, your nervous system is physically wired directly into your fat stores. It's exactly like an electrical grid. Your brain has a direct physical communication line telling your fat to either stay locked down or release its energy. And this is where we meet the two main characters on the receiving end of that electrical grid. Your fat cells have specific receptors just waiting for those neurological signals. On one side, we have alpha-2 receptors. You can think of them as these incredibly stubborn vault keepers. When a signal arrives, they basically say, nope, hold on, we might need this energy for an emergency later, and they keep the fat locked up tight. But on the other side, we have beta-2 receptors. These are the willing bank tellers. They respond to the signal and rapidly hand out the fuel. This, by the way, perfectly explains why you absolutely cannot spot reduce belly fat by just doing 1,000 crunches. The belly area naturally has poor blood flow and is absolutely packed with those stubborn alpha-2 receptors. It's literally biologically programmed to hold on to that fat until the bitter end. Let's move right along to Section 2, mobilization and oxidation. Okay, so the official biological term for fat burning is lipolysis, and it is absolutely crucial to understand that this is a two-part deal. You can't just break the fat out of the cell and call it a day. You have to actually burn it up, or else it just floats around and gets stored all over again. So here's how the magic happens. Step 1 is mobilization. An enzyme called lipase comes in and breaks the chemical backbone that holds the fat in storage, which releases fatty acids right into your bloodstream. Then, step 2 is oxidation. Those freed up fatty acids travel into the mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells, where they're converted into actual, usable ATP energy. And step 3? This is literally my favorite fact in all of biology. Once that fat is oxidized and burned for energy, how does it leave your body? You breathe it out. Seriously, you literally exhale burned fat as carbon dioxide, and whatever is left over leaves as water through sweat or urine. You are quite literally breathing out your lost weight. How cool is that? Moving into Section 3, adrenaline and the nervous system. What actually flips the switch on all this? So, what's the actual spark that ignites this whole lipolysis process we just talked about? Well, the origin of that chemical spark is wild. We normally think of adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, as this massive full-body rush that floods out of our adrenal glands when we get jump-scared, right? But the adrenaline that stimulates fat burning is highly localized. Because your neurons are plugged directly into your body fat, they can just release epinephrine right there, locally, at the source. This local release directly commands the fat cells to open up. So you don't need a massive, panicked, systemic stress response. You just need to activate the specific neurons attached to your fat. And here's a totally fascinating way to trigger that local release without doing any traditional exercise at all. We have this specialized type of fat called brown fat. It's mostly sitting right between our shoulder blades, and it is absolutely packed with mitochondria. It's basically a furnace designed to generate heat. When you're exposed to cold and you begin to shiver, even just a really low-level shiver, those subtle muscle twitches trigger the release of a molecule called succinate. That succinate acts directly on the brown fat, turning on its thermogenic furnace to burn energy. You are completely bypassing exhausting cardio and using subtle neurological triggers to literally burn fat to keep warm. Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, why subtle movement wins. This is exactly why you might want to seriously rethink those grueling, painful treadmill sessions. Intense cardio demands immediate, fast energy. That means your body ends up burning through your stored glucose and blood sugar, not your fat. Plus, it spikes your hunger through the roof, which often leads to you just eating back all those calories you suffered to burn. Contrast that with subtle movement, also known in the science world as NEAT, or non-exercise activity thermogenesis. We're talking about fidgeting, pacing around the room, or taking a light walk. These low-level, constant movements consistently trigger that local adrenaline release we just talked about. They unlock your fat stores without pounding your joints or sending you into a crazy post-workout hunger frenzy. Now, if you're still stuck in that no pain, no gain mindset, listen to this incredible stat. 48. In one remarkable study, people did just 2 45-minute cycling sessions a week. But here is the real kicker. They weren't doing all-out, exhausting sprints. They were just cycling at a moderate, manageable pace. And in just 2 months, they reduced their dangerous visceral fat, that's the really stubborn fat packed deep around your internal organs, by an unbelievable 48%. The main takeaway here is that you absolutely do not need to destroy yourself. You just need to hit the right biological threshold. And a brilliant way to measure this in your own life is called the talk test. Basically, it's a marker of moderate intensity exercise where you're moving enough to sound just a little bit winded, but you can still easily speak in full senses. Scientifically, that's roughly 75% of your VO2 peak, and it is the absolute sweet spot. It's just enough to stimulate the nervous system and that localized adrenaline response, but not so intense that your body panics and shuts down fat burning to desperately grab for quick glucose.
All right, bringing it home with Section 5, your daily neurological schedule.
Let's translate all this complex neuroscience into a really simple, actionable daily plan that pretty much runs on autopilot. Phase 1 is move lightly. Get those 10,000 steps, take the stairs, fidget at your desk while you work. The biological purpose? You are just constantly dripping local adrenaline onto those fat cells all day long. Phase 2 is eat smartly. Prioritize high protein and fiber. Why? Because protein actually costs your body extra energy just to digest it. It's called the thermic effect. Plus, keeping sugar low keeps your insulin low. And remember, high insulin chemically blocks fat oxidation. Finally, phase 3 is sleep deeply. Aim for 7 to 8 hours in a cool room. If you get poor sleep, your testosterone tanks and your stress hormone, cortisol, spikes. That shifts your body entirely into fat storage mode, which is exactly what we don't want.
And to top it off, here are a few biological accelerators to help your nervous system keep those fat-burning pathways wide open. Green tea is fantastic. It's rich in these polyphenols called catechins that actually block fat-absorbing enzymes and boost oxidation. Carotenoid-rich colorful vegetables, like your carrots and spinach, neutralize free radicals and can literally turn on fat-burning genes. And never ever underestimate deep, slow nasal breathing from your belly. Since fat leaves the body as carbon dioxide, efficient breathing literally helps you expel that oxidized fat faster. It's amazing.
So we've completely decoded the biology. You now know that fat loss isn't about punishment at all. It's just about signaling. Your fat cells are directly wired to your brain, just waiting for the right neurological command to unlock the vault. The science clearly shows us that walking, fidgeting, eating thermic foods, and moderate exercise hold the real power. Your nervous system is waiting for the signal. So what subtle move are you going to make today to flip that switch? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope you use this science to your advantage.